And there's also early detection of those cancers by studying their images, that's NMR images from those patients, mostly breast cancer. So they can early detect cases, and for those who will be needing treatment, they can be able to separate, yes, those who really need it and those who don't, and therefore give costs.
Okay, amazing. Thank you very much, Sean, for your contributions. Would any other person like to give it a try? How can technology or technological services or products be utilized to advance access to quality and affordable healthcare? Who would like to give it a shot? Anyone? Would any other person like to give it a shot? One more person, just one more person before we go into the session fully. Anyone? Just go ahead to unmute yourself and share your thoughts with us. Anyone? Anyone? Okay, so if no one else would like to give it a try, we'd like to officially welcome Morenike Faje Missy to lead us into the session that helps us to understand how we can adopt and adapt technological solutions to healthcare. You're welcome, ma'am. Okay, we can see your beautiful face. I believe you haven't unmuted yet.
I'm unmuted now. Okay, right. So I said I was trying to switch between my computer and my phone because my computer's camera was like not so clear. So I hope you all can see me. And yeah, this is my second time being on this Pharma Innovation Hub session. Did I get that right, Taiwo?
Pharma Incubation
Hub. Thank you. And I believe it was a very interactive session last time. So I'm hoping this can be just as interactive. So ask questions. The topic has to do with like digital innovation in healthcare. And I am opportune to be one of the pharmacists, not the only one certainly, but one of the pharmacists who is running a digital innovation that's helping to improve a certain aspect of healthcare in Nigeria. So thank you, Taiwo, for the intro. For those of you who haven't heard about Whisper, I encourage you to download it after this session. So I'm just going to drop it in a link in the chat before I start. So that's our short link. It takes you to where everything pretty much is. So we offer teleconsultations so that you can ask all those, embarrassing questions. I think I have a discharge from my penis, from my vagina. What if this happens? What if that happens? All those questions that typically if you say it, most of you will be shy to say it if you actually walk into a hospital. But you can ask it on Whisper. Like our doctors have seen everything, I've heard everything, and they are like-minded people, so don't worry. Then you can also book appointments for contraceptives, for what else? For contraceptives, for STI testing. Oh, okay. Sorry, a quick one. I need to. One second, you guys. Sorry. Taiwo, where's Taiwo? Okay. Good. All right. Yeah. So back to what I was talking about. Yes. So on my mobile app Whisper, and through the link I just provided for you guys, if you need to prevent pregnancy and you want to go to a hospital where nobody's going to say, hey, you're too young. Hey, what's wrong with you? Hey, why are you having sex? Hey. You do it through Whisper, because that's what we want to do. We want to ensure that like you can keep your privates private. You can, get the care you need without anybody like judging you or preventing you from doing the right thing. And we also allow, make it possible for anyone to book like cervical cancer screening, Hep B screening, and very popular STI screening. So like you can check, do you have gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis, and others, but you can do it like a whole bouquet of tests at once. So yeah, back to the topic. When it comes to digital healthcare, I find, or innovating generally in healthcare, I find that there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. Since I started this work, I've talked about what I do, which is sexual and reproductive healthcare as a focus, but telemedicine in general. And I've been opportune to meet people who are innovating in so many aspects. I've seen those innovating emergency care. There's a lady I really admire in Kenya. She runs something called Flare, and Flare makes it possible for them to like book ambulances. And in Nigeria, we aren't set up for critical care, like emergency care. The truth is, if you're bleeding out on, say, Third Mainland Bridge, before the ambulance can even reach you on a good traffic day, and this is using Lagos as an example, the chances of that happening successfully is very slim. So like I say to people, it's very possible to like look for a problem in healthcare. Like Nigeria is actually a place where a lot of things aren't working. So if you want to innovate in healthcare, whether you want to do it through digital or not, you first need to identify the problem. What problem do you want to solve? In my case, I looked at problems I grew up, experiencing as well. When I was a child, my cousin got pregnant, and that was it. School had to end. And, you grow up and you realize that people still don't really know much when it comes to how to prevent pregnancy. It's still all hush-hush. And you're thinking, because the distance between when this happened for me is over 28 years ago. And it's rather annoying that it hasn't really like improved. So those are the kind of problems I wanted to solve. But as I started to like work in my career, I started to see other aspects of the problem. So I worked in a HIV clinic during my NYSC, where in a day we saw close to 300 patients per day. But at the same time, I noticed that there were still many people who believed you have to look a certain way, before they believe you have HIV. So many people still aren't testing. A lot of us went into relationships where, in fact, some people will plain tell you that you have to, You have to sleep with a virgin without a condom. Those kind of myths are all over our society. Taiwo, do you know how to turn off this wait list that keeps disturbing me?
That you make me a host. Yes, you make me a host. I think I will be the only one to receive it directly.
Okay.
I think.
All right. Okay, done. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so now that's.
I'm improving my own now.
Okay, so before I continue, are there any questions, so that I know that, because the room is rather quiet, so that I know that I can actually have people I'm talking to?
No question. Fantastic.
Hello. Could anyone indicate in the comments? Just drop a comment so I know you're still there. That's all. So I know you can still hear me. If you can still hear me, leave a comment. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Kendi. Perfect. Thank you. Good. So back to my point that you identify your problem. So you also should identify a problem that you're passionate about. I've always been passionate about sexual and reproductive healthcare. By way of background, I graduated from OAU in 2010, and so Faculty of Pharmacy. And my final year course was on healthcare seeking. My final year project, sorry, not course, was on healthcare seeking when it comes to managing sexual and reproductive health issues. And so I would say this has always been top of mind for me. The burden to kind of like change, improve how things are currently being done. So as technology, you know, sometimes you can have an idea, but the time you are in, maybe the technology that's available then isn't enough to, you know, help you make that idea become a reality. Maybe sometimes you have an idea and the money you also need to make the idea become a reality isn't there. So for me, it was a journey when it comes to actually going from problem to here's the idea I think can solve it, to actually even having your first prototype. And this is where the point of not giving up comes in. There isn't anything that's worth doing that you should, you know, quit at the first sight or sign of struggle or stress. If anything is truly worth doing, then you persevere, you keep trying to make sure that you get it done. When I first conceived Whisper, it was in 2016. Didn't get to launch until 2020. So idea versus launch dates, look at that time. Some of it was, you know, you're working, you want that stability of income. You want to grow in whatever career you're in. And I was doing that pretty well. So, you know, there's always that fear of the unknown. But the other point was, of course, also money. You want to save up a bit and be sure that, okay, pending when you get any kind of support, you have enough to, you know, keep going, keep pushing that ship forward. This is not to discourage anyone from, you know, starting. It's to tell you that the reality on ground is you will need some money to start anything you want to do. So whether you're getting that money from others or you're saving it up yourself, but you will need some money. But banish the thought that you need like that there's this unattainable amount of money that you need. You know, like break your goals into steps and say, okay, to get me to step one, what do I need? That way, it doesn't look, you don't crush yourself with the size of your own dreams, especially the financial size of your own dreams. So yeah, I'd like to get a question so I know that you guys are actually following. So any questions so far? I'm waiting. Okay, all right. So after identifying the problem, the next thing I will say is, what's it called? Is to, so let me give a bit of my background, see if that helps with even the problem finding. When you're done with like pharmacy school, you have studied a course that is multifaceted. So pharmaceutics, pharmacology, pharmacognosy, pharma, everything. And one advantage of this multifaceted nature of pharmacy is that you are actually also broadly educated, meaning you can pretty much adapt to a number of situations, a number of careers. Give yourself the opportunity to try things out. Try community pharmacy. Don't, unless you are dead sure, don't automatically assume that you might not like it. Try hospital pharmacy. Try a few different aspects, as many as you can potentially get yourself into. It's one of the things I liked about, I'll say the internship years and the IT years. for me, it was an opportunity to try. I think my first IT I did hospital. Yeah, my second IT I did community pharmacy. And my internship, I was in regulatory pharmacy, so NAFDAC, and also did a bit of community pharmacy at the same time, local. So in NYSC, I did hospital pharmacy. So by the time I was kind of entering the job market, I won't call it labor market, even though it is what it is, but the job market, I will say I had tasted what is meant to be in community, in hospital, in regulatory, and did I miss anything? And in the non-profit sector, because when I was in my NYSC, I volunteered with the HIV focused NGOs. And then somewhere along the line, I'd pivoted to actually have a part-time job in one of those clinics managing HIV and TB care. So this was all the way in Akwa Ibom. I'm from Lagos State and all that. So it did a lot for me in the sense that it kind of helped me narrow down on what I really love to do. It helped me appreciate that, okay, it was one of two options. Either I was going to find, I never did. So that's why I said as many options. Someone said, what about academics? That was the question. I never did get to have an opportunity to try academics. Otherwise, I would have tried it. So that's why I said, try as many options as you can manage to fit yourself into. If I had gotten that opportunity, for sure, but you know how competitive it is to get anything in academics. But I did have that in my kind of back of mind that if I got to do like a master's where I could be a teaching assistant kind of role, I would want to know what it feels like to the academics, because I do like to teach. So it's not everything you want to try, there's desire and there's actual opportunities. That's why people say maybe there's a bit of element to luck in this life. So I wouldn't say 100% that you'll be able to fit into everywhere you want to get into. But it's worth knowing, having that plan, back to the point of planning, that I would like to do all these things. And then that way, sometimes the opportunities that you would have missed if you had no plan, you're able to see them when you do. I know that was true for me throughout my NYSC. So at post NYSC, I remember vividly, I wanted to work with FHI 360 because that was the organization I had volunteered with. And this was like still in like HIV and TB management. In my mind, this was it. There was no other like ideal job out there. This is okay. I was naive. I would say stretch your dreams a bit. Like think of your dreams as this elastic band that is like firm. Try and pull it a bit and see what else can fit into those goals. And as I began to apply for jobs, I began to see other, yes, clearly I liked sexual and reproductive health. I told you what my project was in. So what else is in this, bubble, in this space? So I would encourage, I know this isn't specifically on topic in terms of digital healthcare, but this is, I would say, career advice that I think every young pharmacist should have, is even if you say, oh, I want to be a lecturer, and you're applying to jobs in schools, for example, and it's not clicking, see if you can stretch that goal a bit and see if there's something else that is somewhere within the educational sector that you can still key into. So in my case, I ended up working in a role as in a role with a company called DKT that is focused on family planning. So I remember the first couple of months, I felt like I had betrayed my dreams to work in like HIV and TB care. Silly, but that's how I felt at the time. But I also realized that, hey, here's something exciting I'm also doing. And here's something that is also on track with like my passion and my desire for increasing access to sexual and reproductive health care. And so long story short, more than 10 years down the road, I'm happy I took that path. I'm excited I took that path. The opportunities is giving me the exposure is giving me the knowledge, the ability to even sell myself now as a leader in the sexual and reproductive healthcare space came as a result of all those career choices I made along the way. My first role in family planning was actually a combination of a marketing role and a regulatory role. So I had to introduce new products into Nigeria. Products you see in the market like Postpil, Levelfen, and a host of more. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Postpil. I was the one who worked on those products, the literature, the inserts, the actual bringing those products into Nigeria. Long time ago. They didn't exist when I finished NYSC. So it's hello? I remember the very first time I walked into a pharmacy and I saw one of my products on the shelf. I remember like buying it and then getting home and screaming. So it's been a beautiful journey to kind of watch and see yourself create something as part of a team, but be so instrumental to the growth of something that is now part of the fabric of your society. So by the time I left DKT, I trained others. I'd introduced close to over 20-something products. I left them as their Director of Regulatory Affairs and Marketing. So coming into Whisper, I knew that, okay, this was the time. The dream had always been originally pregnancy prevention, then HIV and STD treatments, then back to family planning / pregnancy prevention, back to, at some point, safe abortion. And I thought to myself, like, at what point, and that's why I said this happened around 2016, this happened even before I left DKT. How do I bring all these, like, how do I achieve, this? Now I'm at that stage in my career where I thought to myself, I could, do what I want to do versus kind of fitting into places that already exist. And that's what you need to decide before you step in. I call it stepping over the edge. Before you step over the edge, before you jump over that cliff and say, I want to be an innovator or I want to be an entrepreneur, you kind of need to understand that you are stepping away from the safety of the known into the unknown, into the frustrating. So I'm not going to sensationalize entrepreneurship for you. I'm not going to tell you, oh, it's this romantic, beautiful world. It can be, but it doesn't happen overnight. And it can be tough. If you like safety, if you aren't too much of a risk taker, if you like the convenience of a regular salary, stay away from entrepreneurship. Forget it. I'll be honest. It will test your resolve. It will test your It will test your stamina. It will test your ability, your resilience, your ability to see tough times and say, you know what, I'm going to knock my head against it and keep pushing through. So I'm not going to, romanticize entrepreneurship for you all here. And this brings me to a point, which is that, intrapreneurship. So sometimes your ability to innovate doesn't mean you have to do it on your own. Sometimes you can do it within your existing organization. So we're talking about healthcare innovations, right? So I'll give an example. When I was with DKT, there's one of the earliest innovations I did was with, is that the earliest? Okay, maybe not the earliest, but one of them was with reminder alerts. So back then, we'd introduced a product called Cyanopress. It was a contraceptive injection, and it was brand new in Nigeria at the time. People needed to get, reminders every 3 months. Most hospitals, or not most, a few hospitals actually did that. But this is like one out of maybe 100 hospitals. So most people had to remember by themselves when it was due in 3 months. So at that time, we rolled out, it was free, it was a free service. People could like sign up, get reminders every 3 months, or your next injection is due, go for it. And it did help. Like we saw people who were on it be more consistent, show up on time, just by getting reminders. Now, what made this form of entrepreneurship, great was at some point when we were kind of scaling the service down, because free is only, there's nothing free in this world, somebody's paying for it. So while it was free, so the people using it, the company paying for it, got to a point where they're like, okay, we can't keep paying for this thing forever and ever, especially more people are using it. And there wasn't anyone willing to kind of take on the financial burden. But here's the fun part. Just as it was wrapping up, UNFPA approached us at that time, and they were planning to do something in like northern Nigeria. They had rolled out the contraceptive injection there as well, and had, a lot of women that were interested using it. But this is also like a place where some have phones, but everyone who had phones, at least majority, did not have smartphones, right? So of course they needed something that was text messaging based. To do what? To provide the women with reminders. So guess what service they used? The one I had set up for my own organization. So we had they adopted it, and it helps them, improve on the success of their own program as well. So sometimes your innovation doesn't have to be something that you do on your own. Sometimes it's an idea you're pitching within whatever organization you're currently working with. It's you identifying, once again, a problem. In this case, how do we get those who are actually enjoying this method to remember to use it? And then providing a solution that, in this case, was also digitized. So digitized doesn't always have to mean internet. In this case, mobile phone, a digital device. So text messaging, that is still digitization. So that was what I'd done at that time. This is just an example. I don't want to delve too much into things that I'm not supposed to, talk about when another organization is concerned. But I use my own personal story as an example of how you can innovate both intrapreneurial, so within your current organization, and extrapreneurial. I've seen people who've worked in community pharmacies, and within a few months of working there, they've managed to teach the old school pharmacists there how to, add on technology that helps with stock, or even they've helped to identify, maybe because I'd worked in one where she had an idea what to use, but she was skeptical about using it. So here I came, young girl. I was able to read through, delve in, and kind of narrow down and say, Madam, this is what we go with. She's also a pharmacist, but older. So sometimes it's you bringing your use to the fore and actually using it to render value within where you work. A good employee is an employee that is willing to go the extra mile, think a bit more. An employee that you can say, we want to get to point Z. And the employee isn't saying, okay, so tell me, after I finish A, do I do B? After I finish B, do I do C? It's okay to ask for guidance, but an employee that you have to talk through every single step of the journey is a regular employee. They aren't the innovators in your system. They aren't the ones who you will kind of beat your chest about in the long run. So if you want to be an innovator, you can actually do that even within the ecosystem of employment without and become a more valuable employee to whoever has hired you. So think about it. There are ways to innovate in healthcare, without being an entrepreneur. That's my general advice. Okay, any questions before I continue? Okay. I'm not going to move until I get an actual question, so.
No question. Go ahead.
Okay. Taiwo, a quick one. How many minutes do I have? Because I understand we have 2 speakers, and I'm seeing we're approaching the 30 minutes time.
Yes, you have about about 30 minutes more. Okay, Ini, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Hi.
I want to ask, is it possible to actually be innovative, but but not have interest in pharmaceutical technology? Because I know that the technology actually takes care of the designing of drugs and production of drugs and all. Is there how you cannot know this one, but be innovative?
I like your question. So very good question. Did I get that? So I'm actually happy you asked. I like the topic said healthcare, but the truth is you can be innovative in any way. You'd be surprised that a good number of people who run some of the most interesting health technology businesses around the world have zero medical background. So there you are, kind of boxing yourself that, oh, I studied health-related courses, so I have to do a health-related innovation. Whereas there are many people who are leading in health innovations that don't have your background, and vice versa. Sometimes you have people in like HR organizations that have medical backgrounds. Doctors in particular, I found to be extremely versatile. Pharmacists too are beginning to like spread their wings outside healthcare. So don't box yourself in. Find the problem you want to solve. And I will be very clear, that problem doesn't have to be healthcare related at all. Some people have gone into education. Honestly, once I've gotten whispered to where I wanted to get to, I'm starting my next idea and it's not health related. I believe in solving problems. I would say it was my biggest asset on my last job, replicating. It would have been one of the biggest values I brought to the team. I'd literally look at a situation that was tough and start cracking my head on, okay, so how do we beat this system? How do we make this happen? And I would say if you're able to do that in any sector at all, nutrition, poverty, education, whatever it is, pick that thing that touches you, solve it. That's it. That's what you need. You don't have to be passionate about something you aren't passionate about just because you studied pharmacy. Who designed that rule? I don't know about it. So my co-founder, for example, who also happens to be my husband, the first company he started, his background is in finance accounting, but the first company he started was in oil and gas management. Currently, he's with me on a health technology business. I don't know, are you not seeing where I'm going with this? You don't need to be looking for problems within healthcare to solve if that's not your niche. Find what you want to do and do it. Okay. All right. What was I about to say? Yeah. So back to healthcare innovation, I'm going to mention a few things I've seen around the world. I feel examples might help. But remember, just like Inyamem said, you don't have to do healthcare innovation, but these advice, these tips are as valid in healthcare as they would in, that's if you're planning to be entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurship has similar challenges, whether you are chasing financial technology or agric technology or health technology or water or sanitation, like WeCycle or Recycle. I've forgotten what that company is called. There are many sectors. So I've seen within healthcare, I've seen someone, okay, so I mentioned Flair. Flair is one business I was really admiring because I thought about it in Nigeria, that how in God's name can this actually work in Nigeria? Then I find out there's someone that made it work in Kenya. Trust me, Kenya is a different ballgame from Nigeria. Nigeria has more coin to put it mildly. But I did realize recently that there is someone trying to tackle it for Nigeria as well. So basically being able to ensure that we have emergency care. This lady that is hugely popular, Flying Doctors, Dr. Ola, she also looked at emergency responses and tried to solve it with helicopters. So find something. Other examples, I've seen people try to do health management systems. There's this popular one. What's their name? I've forgotten. But there's this popular one that has Ovia's daughter as one of the co-founders. They are doing health systems monitoring, health systems maintenance, like health records synchronization. So that if you go to hospital A and you go to hospital B, what you told doctor in hospital A isn't lost by the time you get to EMR. Thank you. By the time you get to hospital B. So that's an innovation. I've seen those who are even like, they've approached us a number of times on Whisper, who have created like AIs that make it possible to diagnose skin diseases just by like taking the picture. Maybe not accurately diagnose, but at least kind of shortlist and say, oh, this picture, this disease is likely ABC. See, that's somebody innovating to kind of improve what's called self-care, which is enabling people to diagnose themselves. Even though what I told the person was Nigerians are already diagnosing themselves. We actually want to get them to stop doing that and have Nigerians actually talk to doctors more instead of saying, touch me. Will I say I get malaria? So, yeah. What other innovations have I seen? I've seen someone who in Pakistan who looked at all the female doctors in her society. So it's pretty similar to how it happens a lot in northern Nigeria, where they send their women to school just so that they can kind of hang them as trophies at home and say, oh, my wife, na doctor. So she was seeing a lot of that happen in Pakistan, where a lot of her own colleagues that she graduated with weren't working. And some were happy, but a lot of them were frustrated with the fact that they basically gone to school for nothing. So she wanted to also, and then this is also a society where women would feel more comfortable if they were talking to a female doctor, but then now all the female doctors, half of them or more than half had graduated and basically sat at home doing nothing. And sorry, not that they were housewife work is work, but not doing what they had, basically trained to do. So she found a way, and with the advent of COVID, to convince more of those women to become like telemedicine doctors. And now they offer their care, they offer telemedicine to a strictly female. So you have female doctors taking care of female patients in Pakistan. So notice what she did. She found the problem. Amongst all her colleagues, she was one of few female doctors that were actually practicing. Okay, should I go around knocking on their doors and saying, oh yeah, you people tell your husbands that you're not doing again, you want to practice? She thought to herself, I'll be banging my head against the wall. The system is what it is. So she said to herself, why not find a way to get these women to still use their free time to, attend to patients. They get to stay at home like their husbands want, but at the same time, they get to do what they train to do. And now, of course, it's not all of them that are going to show up and say they're interested in that, but she has found a ton of female doctors who like jumped on it like a lifeline. And we're like, thank you for saving us, So look within your own ecosystem. You don't have to have identified that problem now. Let me point that out. Sometimes it's something that you grow into. Sometimes it's as you move from job A to job B, or as you are on job A, some years along the line, you suddenly find something that is pressing on you that you need to solve. Sometimes it's that. But I will say when you're trying to find a solution, do like what I've done. Don't necessarily force people out of their comfort zones. Meet them where they are. So in my case, when I was originally thinking of Whisper, I remember speaking to this Oyinbo woman. I was like, why do you want them to whisper? They are young people. They should be able to, talk, be bold. Like create more campaign, more advocacy around getting them to, walk into a hospital and be like, yeah, I want to get a contraceptive. And if anybody looks at them, they should be like, whatever, I don't care. And I was like, all right, that sounds interesting for where you are, but that's not where my people are. I consider myself a very bold person, but I didn't get there overnight. Some people will eventually get to that point, but I need to meet young people where they are when they're still shy. I need to meet them at the points in their lives where having chlamydia can mean infertility 10 years down the line. I need to meet them at the points in their lives where getting pregnant can mean dropping out of pharmacy school or not even getting admission into the university in the first place. I need to meet them where they are. And I need to meet them in a manner that they actually want to be met. They want privacy. Why am I forcing them to not have privacy? And she's like, but that's the right thing to do. They should be bold. I was like, right for who? So if you look at my approach and then you look at the Pakistani woman's approach, she could go the route of, I want to do a campaign where I'm telling everybody that men should stop, locking their doctor wives up in their homes. They should make sure that their wives can work. I mean, she will eventually make enough noise, and noise isn't change. Noise might be nice, but I'm more particular about doing actions that will actually bring change than actions that sound nice and create buzz. I don't do buzz. I want real change, real people's lives that actually benefit from the kind of solutions you create. So I would say find a solution that is customized for your target audience. Don't just pick something, because I know some of you might just look for something that is nice in some other country and think, oh, you know what, I'm going to reproduce this exact thing in Nigeria. Good luck with that. I don't believe that's a good approach. I believe that the mere fact that you are Nigerian from Nigeria means that you should be able to even look at whatever idea you have discovered, even if it's not your idea, even if it's something you found online, dissect it and say, okay, if I were to make this idea work in Nigeria, this is what it looks like. That's how you make your own solution. I think, unless you guys have questions, I think I've touched everything I wanted to touch on today. So, shoot.
Beautiful. Thank you very, very much, Ma, for the insightful session. I particularly like that you mentioned that to be an innovator, one doesn't need to be on their own alone. One can do so. One can innovate even within the ecosystem of employment. Great. I think that's something that more young people need to learn, more young people need to hear. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Oh,
Dear participants, it will be good to share the key takeaways that you got from today's session. You can type in the comment section, or you can unmute yourself to share what exactly
Either
jumped
one.
at you. Did you want? Did you want to say something? I thought you wanted to say something.
No. I said either one. They can talk, they can chat, and I'll check the chats. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat. I will read it out and answer it. Or you can ask me out loud.
Okay, great. James,
Or if
please
there's
go ahead.
something you'd like me to talk about that I haven't talked about, because I kept this freestyle. Last time I had slides. Taiwo didn't allow me use my slide. Today I didn't bother with slide. She gave me Zoom instead. So just if there's something you guys would like me to talk about, ask the question so I can address it. Or if you have any questions about everything I've said so far, that's good.
Go ahead and
Thank you,
unmute yourself.
Kehinde. Thank you, Ajiboye. Okay,
James,
so while I'm waiting for questions,
someone's raising their
nice. Good. Okay, how did we navigate funding? Good question. So prior to launching Whisper, I've been saving up because it's a digital health product, the mobile app. That means we needed to build it. I'm not a tech developer. I had my current CTO at the time not have enough time on his hands to build it for us, because Whisper is actually more complicated than people think when they look at it. Like all the moving parts. We offer telemedicine, we offer products, sales, so HIV tests, condoms, the likes, and we offer appointments. All those moving parts actually made for a very tricky system for most developers that we'd approached. And tricky means expensive. Simple would have been, oh, just an e-commerce type of app. But then I had all these other moving parts, and then it's a health technology. So you have to also like build security into it. So it was a very expensive project to put one's savings into, if I was being honest. But like I mentioned, I didn't have all the money at the beginning. I kind of like had I found someone that was, to my budget, a development company that was based in India. And then I also broke down like the payment milestones. Okay, if you achieve this, so the same way you give yourself goals, you give whoever is working for you goals too. If you achieve this, that's when I pay this. If you achieve that, that's when I pay this. You might give them some money up front, but I would say still break it down. I'd originally used a Nigerian company, but then they messed me up. They basically, exactly, payment milestones. So they basically messed me up. Money disappeared without going into too much detail. So it's not as if I didn't want to use Nigerians second time around, but of course I'd been burnt. Not only did money disappear, we spent a lot of time. So that's why I said there was a huge gap between 2016 when I came up with the idea and 2020. I gave birth in 2017. I was a bit sick afterwards and a bit before as well. So it also caused kind of the time lag for me. So life will also happen. So this is why I say don't give up. If you believe hard enough in that idea that you say you have, then whenever you are able to come up for air, let's say life gives you a break from whatever Basbos is throwing at you, you'll go back. And for me, it was like a magnet. I just kept going back. I would finally have things, going easier for me. And instead of it just leave Whisper and all the stress that it potentially can come with, I would just find myself going back. And so what finally helped us go from products to to the question of funding, from product to actual launch, was two things. So around the time we had our test product, our beta available, we had also applied to something called the WHO Africa Innovation Awards. And it was very interesting because they had different categories. They wanted to celebrate people who were still at idea stage. They wanted to celebrate people who were still at, well, not celebrate, identify innovators who were still at idea, innovators who were at pre-seed, so pre-launch, and innovators who had already launched, and innovators who had scaled. So at this time we hadn't launched, so we were pre-launch, we were no longer idea. But I was one of 30 innovators that got selected for the World Health Organization Africa. So this was April 2019. Now, this didn't come with any money. Most people might think it did, but it didn't. But it did come with some validation of, what we wanted to do. It told us that, yeah, we are, it told us that it wasn't just something in my head. It told us that internationally, this was recognized, because I'd always thought of WISPR not just as a solution for Nigeria, but as a solution for, all our neighbors, all of us in Africa. We have similar issues when it comes to how our society views sexual health care, as a secret, as a taboo, as something that you have to be married before you have sex, yet married men are sleeping with unmarried women. We're very hypocritical. So it's similar. Nigeria isn't special in that space. It's the same similar dynamics across several African countries. So getting that World Health Organization award meant a lot. Sometimes the most motivated entrepreneur can begin to, run out of ginger. So sometimes those kind of things are the ginger you need to say, you know what, I'm doing something good here. I will keep going forward. And that's what the WHO one did for me at that time, even though it didn't come with funding. So by September of 2019, by then we had because we had tested the beta, gotten feedback. I had this pool of women that had collated in 2018 that helped test the original version. So of course we had tested, we had gotten feedback, we were working with the new version. But of course now we started to look at the business plan. How are we going to launch? Money to do this, money to do that, money to hire. And then you realize that, okay, you'd only saved as much as it will take you to probably create your products and maybe launch and keep it going for maybe 2-3 months. What happens after 3 months? Do you go bust? So of course, it became like a priority after that April 2019 to start not only saving the money for launching, but also looking to raise money. So our first big leg up was a grant from Ingenuity Fund. So Ingenuity Fund is something I'd gotten as a result of work I'd actually done when I was employed, when I was intrapreneurial, if you put it like that, when I was with another organization, with the Gating. So Ingenuity Fund was only open to people who had won a certain award. So prior to WHO, I'd won different awards for my career. I'd done a 10-year career, so 7 years probably at that time. So I'd done different things. I'd done work in slums. I had this NGO I was running on the side, Project Foresight. I'd done on my own, in the course of my work, we'd gone to Makoko. We're doing family planning, door-to-door campaigns in slums in Lagos. So basically that's how I won an award called 120 Under 40 award. So the Ingenuity Fund was only for the 120 people who won that award. We're the only people who could apply for that funding. Trust me, 120 people is a lot when you are competing for about 4 pockets of funding. So why did I get picked? I was able to show that within this 120, I had an idea that I needed support for. And I had been working on the idea myself, and I had brought it this far, and I needed a bit more funding to launch and keep this ship, flying. So we got picked. So Ingenuity Fund arrived in September 2019, or at least the award, not the money, but at least we knew we had some money now beyond what we had kind of pulled as co-founders. So of course, now the planning to roll out Whisper was able to really take off. So since then, we've also applied for different grants, different awards. Sometimes it comes with money, sometimes it doesn't come with money. But I did get good advice from someone who ironically didn't fund us, but he mentioned that, and I would try and paraphrase. He said, especially when you're coming from Africa, he said, that's the reality. That you can beat your head against the reality all you want, but there will be exceptions to this reality. But for most people, if you're coming from Africa, if you're coming from a high-risk country like Nigeria, most people will only come and fund you when the fire is already burning. If you still need to put wood to fan the flames, they are not likely to show up. They'll give you some nice fancy excuse for not funding you. But the truth is, they consider you more high risk than your American counterparts, or even your East African counterparts, or your South African counterparts. They will more than likely wait until you have a big fire burning where you potentially might not even need them by the time they're actually showing up to say, hey, I want to fund you. So his advice was, in the meantime, it might not be a lot of money, it might not be all that you need, right? But see if you can apply to more grants. You'll get, I don't want to tell you how many rejection emails I've seen in my life. Have a tracker, both for the losses and the wins, I can tell you for free that probably it's one win per 25 or 50 applications. So I remember somebody messaging me, okay, so my background, let me see if you can see. We recently became a Google Startup for Africa, Google Startup Black Founders Fund. So that means out of 50 startups in Africa, that will be getting funding and support from Google, we're one of 50. Nigeria, as usual, we topped the list. I think we're like 20 something companies from Nigeria that made the list. But I'm one of the few health tech companies that made the list, because fintech is the popular choice where Africa is concerned. So fintech is like your Flutterwave and Paystack, things that are like financial solutions. Health tech, on the other hand, we're not as popular, believe it or not. So this is one of the kind of funding sources we've gotten. Another one came from Bayer Foundation. We won Women's Empowerment Award. It also came with mentorship, which honestly has been fantastic, fantastic. The kind of mentor I have right now, the one-on-one mentor, she is absolutely brilliant. And she's someone that I've been able to really, open up to and listen as well. So we all need mentors. There's nobody that has the full gamut of knowledge anywhere. Be open to learn from others. So your funding sources will evolve with time. I can tell already that come next year, we will be getting equity funding. We will be moving from, grant-ish staging to equity funding. We will be moving from even small grants to potentially bigger grants. But that journey didn't happen overnight. That journey is a long journey. I've never even been this open about how complicated the steps have been. But you guys, I always feel like this is me some years back. I want to make sure that you get the raw deal. You might be one of the people who, on the onset, even before you launch your idea, you will get a Y Combinator funding. this is fantastic. You also might not be. In fact, chances are that you are less likely to be someone who doesn't get it than you are to be, because they pick only a few. This isn't an indication that you aren't doing something right. This is just an indication that the number of slots or seats at the funding table aren't that many. So wherever there's competition, you might get in, you might not get it. It doesn't mean that what you're doing is not valid. It just means you didn't get it. Move on. Don't take it too personal. So you will keep applying for stuff. Some will click, some won't click. In the meantime, you need to think of how you keep your ship running, pending when something clicks. And trust me, when I say one success out of close to 20-something rejections, it hits hard. You have to have thick skin. So yeah, funding is it's a journey. I haven't gotten all the funding I need either. It's something that you keep working at till you achieve everything you want.
Wow. So open, Ma. Thank you so much for being so kind enough to share your funding journey with us. I see that there is another question, and someone is asking, what are the basic steps to consider moving from idea to actualization?
Honestly, I think I've already addressed that topic like a lot. So permit me to skip that question. Ideas actualization, that's basically what I've talked about all day today. But the other question says, under which department did you carry out your project research in sexual and reproductive health? Oh, interesting. I was in clinical pharmacy. Yeah. Is that not what it's called? I don't know if it's called that in every single school, but in Ife.
Yes.
Taiwo, isn't that what it's called?
It is clinical and administrative.
Pharmacy, good. So that's where I was. There was pharmaceutics, pharmacognosy, pharmacology. I feel like I've forgotten something. Clinical pharmacy, and did I miss something? It's not 5 departments in Ife. There's one that seems to have jumped from my head.
Farm micro.
No. Anyway, whatever, microbiology, I think. Okay, and drug research. Yeah. So, yeah, I was with Dr. Afolabi. I think she's left Ife now. I think she's in UNILAG. I was with Dr. Afolabi, and I remember submitting so many topics, and I was so glad she finally went with the one that I was most interested in, even though I had to do a few submissions, but it was titled Health, very long title, dear God, Healthcare Seeking by university students for the management of, healthcare seeking behavior of university students for the management of sexually transmitted infections. My at the time when I finished in Ife, my what they call it, my younger sisters, one was just getting into UNILAG, one was still in secondary school. Because my project had like pictures of chlamydia, gonorrhea, XYZ inside the book. And then it had like responses from women I had interviewed, girls I'd interviewed in hostels and everything. One of my younger sisters used to call it my horror film project book. Because some pictures of STDs can be really scary. So she said that one day I'd gone to work, she'd accidentally like stumbled on it and decided to look at it, and she said, God, she's traumatized. Oh my God, she was still pretty young then. Yeah, questions. Someone has a question, please ask.
Yeah. Maya, Jeremiah, please unmute yourself.
All right. Good evening, Ma. And thank you
Hi.
very much for the session so far. It's been so much interesting and exciting. My question is that I think the first question I would have asked if mentioned it was about the app, getting the developer and all, how you were able to navigate through. So if you said that already, so I will just make the second one. Second one is about the team that makes Whisper. How were you able to get the team? Because by what you have analyzed today, I think Whisper works with I don't know if it's the doctors that work with Whisper, or it's the Whisper that links doctors with the patients. I still don't get the part. How were you able to get the team? And also the website services and management, how you were able to still manage the web and other things. So that was the question basically. I don't know if you get me, man.
I get your question. That's fine. So
Right.
I will say for me, finding my team is still an ongoing process, but we're not where we were when we started, right? So my team is made up of, I will say, the founders, the team leaders, which is combination of the founders and like our tech team leads, and our customer care, and then our doctors. So let me talk about the founding team. The original set, it's myself, my partner, and our CTO at that time. So basically, the CTO had gone to school with us in Ife and eventually left Ife, but we'd all stayed in touch and everything. So by the time I had the idea in 2016, this was someone that I knew had like strong skills in tech and would be someone willing, like you sell the idea. So sometimes you're starting with friends, you're selling the idea to a friend that has the skills that you need. And you're telling them, come and put in your time to make these skills happen. So prior to his exiting, the former CTO, he did quite a lot of work in terms of like bringing the vision to reality. Sometimes it was even in helping to select like who we outsourced to, or managing the person we had outsourced or the company we had outsourced to. So I will say when you're starting, look for what skills you need. I'm the health person on my team. I'm the person with the on-ground experience when it comes to sexual and reproductive health care. Or we've always needed someone who understands technology on the team. And we've also needed someone who understands business on the team. So fortunately, at the time that my previous CTO was leaving, because he started something of his own and was getting too distracted, couldn't like balance Whisper along with it, I'd already met someone else who was starting to fill his shoes already. So it was easy to kind of pivot from previous CTO to the new one. But then also realizing that the new person needed help. So there are two people sharing our CTO role right now. And so sometimes you begin to even, as you grow, you identify whether even the person you need on your team is one person or two people. You're able to like make those decisions. You might not be able to make it at the start, but you'll be able to make them as you go forward. For our doctors, there are doctors we've hired. So that's why I said when you wanted to launch, we needed to think of things like salaries. We needed to think of all of that. But also, you don't get to work as long as I did and not be able to find people within your own network that you'll be able to sell the vision to. People who are also like-minded as you are, because this is a business that thrives on ensuring that we have people that aren't, religious biased or culturally biased. So it was important to find people who met certain criteria. And the best place to look was within my own network. So that's how we identified our current team of doctors. So we have 4 doctors on our team. In the future, when we grow that, I'm actually going to take the approach we did to grow from 2 to 4. I would first ask my current team to recommend interviewed their recommendations before I threw it out to the public, because there's nothing like what they call it, starting from within your own circles first. You know these people better. You're not just working with whatever they are pitching to the public. So that's always been my approach, and it's been working well so far. However, it doesn't mean you can't, like, if you don't find anyone within your network, it doesn't mean you can't look outside. So I'll look at my customer care team. When we were about to launch, I basically sent a broadcast. So I guess it's a mixture of network and not network. I basically sent a broadcast out to several people and said, hey, these are the kind of like people and responsibilities I'm looking for in someone to fill this customer care role, and send the CV to this email address. So I had a number of people respond. In fact, it was difficult to tell how they saw the broadcast, because these were people who would just say, oh, a friend forwarded it to me, a friend forwarded it to me. And I'm like, okay, whatever, let me see. So I began to interview from that pool till I found the right person. The person who came on as our social media, like graphic designer, that one is even an interesting story. That one reached out to us. We had already launched that was in 2020. He reached out to us, basically analyzed everything we're doing on social media and said, this is what I think you can do better. This is what I think you can do different. So he shot his shots, literally. And I looked at it and I laughed and I was like, you are a lifesaver. Like, I've been trying within my network. I done the broadcasting as well, because we weren't able to like pay big bucks at that time. So we obviously needed to like look on a smaller scale than go say on a job site and kind of promote ourselves. Hey, small money we want to pay at this time, or you know. So I was still struggling to find someone within my own like broadcasting kind of network that was going to both have the skills and match our budgets. And this guy just reaches out to us out of the blue. And I haven't met him till today, I'll be very honest. But he's been an excellent employee, for lack of a better word. And you could see it even in the approach with which he reached out to us. He saw the problems that we knew we had, but he saw it from his lens as a professional, like graphic designer, and came up with solutions. Like, it was the only thing that would have made us not go with him, with that kind of like work that went into, you know, cold emailing someone, would have been maybe if we hadn't been able to kind of work out the money side. But it was a brilliant reach out from that guy. His name is Victor. So yeah, that's how we ended up with our 10-man team. Myself included in the 10-man team. It's not, this is my approach. I wouldn't say it's what's going to work for everybody, but that's been my own experience. We are getting to that point where, of course, the next round of recruitment where we are growing is going to be on the classic scale, where you kind of like posting job blogs, job sites. But when you're starting, honestly, your own network is the best place to start.
Beautiful response, ma'am. Thank you so much. I believe that we have gained tremendous value from today's session. For me, I have learned that if you want to be an innovator, you can do so within the ecosystem of employment. You should always look within your ecosystem, especially if you're seeking solutions that you want to prefer. And you don't even need to have identified the problem yet. Sometimes you just grow into it. And as time goes on, your eyes begin to open to see those problems that have long existed in your field or in your sector. And then you can begin to prefer solutions to those problems. And yeah, it has been truly insightful. I believe that all of the participants have gained value from this session. Thank you so much, Ma, for being so kind enough to pour your heart to us and share your story with us. We're deeply grateful, Ma.
Yeah, sorry if I have gone over time. I wasn't very clear on what my time limits are. It did not cut me, so. All right. Yeah, I was happy to share.
We enjoyed ourselves. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Permission to drop off?
Yeah, permission to drop off, but how can participants reach out to you, say if they want to follow at any time?
Okay, I'll just drop my email address in the, actually, forgive me, I'm going to put the General Whisper email address so that they will definitely filter it to me if it's for me. info@whisperhealth.com. Oops, no, not con. This email address, didn't it? Okay. Yeah, there you go. So I can also drop an offer. I'd made this in the last time we had this session, that if you want to try Whisper out, you can provide your email addresses to Taiwo. We'll give you a session each with our doctors. This, for you to provide your email address, that means you've actually installed the app. Don't do what some people did last time, just send in their email address. And then when we go through our database, we can't find you to actually credit you with a session with a doctor. So install the app and then provide your email address to Taiwo. So by this time next week, I'll take all the email addresses from Taiwo, pass it to our devs, and they credit you all with at least one session with a doctor on Whisper. And yeah, if you need any of our services, don't forget to check out whisperhealth.com or whisper.ng, which is our link website. It has every link that you need. So I'll type that again in it's our Linktree website in the chat. So take care, everyone. Have a nice rest of your Sunday.
Great, thank you.
I'll definitely come back to watch the recording so I can listen to Kende's session, but I've been hearing my daughter in the background. So before she come and scatter this score, let me just carry myself and go. Bye.
So we'll be having Kende Morainer, who will be sharing with us how we can go about pitching. Yes, we've learned a lot about ideas, bringing your ideas to reality. And for some of you, you're worried about how you can even fund that idea so that it can last, so that when you begin to implement it, you can implement it sustainably. And we've got someone who has experience in pitching. I remember that Kende used to pitch from university days, moving from hackathon to hackathon, and he has done beautifully in that space. And he will be sharing with you from all of his years of experiences in doing it himself, and of course interacting with persons who have pitched their ideas to win grants. He in fact has judged a number of pitch competitions as well. So I believe that he will be sharing key thoughts with you to help you scale your ideas and move your ideas from the idea stage, from the ideation stage to actually the implementation stage. Thank you so much, Kende, for making out time for today's session. You have the floor.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me? Let me just
yes.
Share my screen and also awesome. Okay, can you hear me and see me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you and see.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for still staying to this time. I know we've had a good time during the first session, but my session basically is to talk us through a stepwise process into pitching. But before I get to that pitching stage, basically I'll walk us through how we can get our ideas factory fitted and strong before you pitch. So technically, before you can pitch, before you can come up stage or approach someone, you need to have content, right? So content is very important. You can't just approach anybody and say you have an idea. The idea must have gone through some fine-tuning processes. Let me just put it that way. So I would share my screen right now. Let me see if I can share it. Okay, great. Yeah. Can we all see this? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, good. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at this. Good. Like I said, I don't know why this is not working, to be honest. Okay, good. So like I said, pitching is one process that if you're in the startup space or entrepreneurship and you want to get some level of funding, you need to do that process or activity. Means that you need to come out, talk about what you've done, the traction you've made, the idea you have, and sell it to people basically. And if peradventure they really like what they hear and what they see, they can say, you know what, I have some stash of funds that I can give to you, maybe free funding or maybe some equity funding, or I don't know. But basically we have two types of funding. We have angel investors who will give you money because they like you or they like your idea. And the next aspect is equity or VCs, who are venture capitalists, meaning that they have money, big money or small money, depending on what you're asking and the value you have that your idea has. They give you that money, but they take some percentage or something in return for the money they give. So they're not like the angels who naturally will give you something. So let's go. I've designed this slide so that we all can have something to work with at the end of the day. So let's go. So pitching, like I said, is a presentation. It's like a performance where you are selling a business idea to someone. And the people in this picture are investors. Investors can be your VCs, like I said, which we call venture capitalists, philanthropists, or angels, or partners. Sometimes you might be pitching to someone, but not for money. But you want them to be part of your board or part of your team. So if you remember the conversation that happened before the presentation, she said she had to approve someone who became a CTO, chief of technology and all. Now, that she had to pitch, sell the idea to that person. That person would receive that information, see the vision and say, okay, I think I need to work with you, or I think I need to be on your team. So pitching sometimes doesn't necessarily mean you're looking for money, but in all trueness, you're looking for something. It can be money, it can be partnership, right? Now, before we go to pitching, like I said, pitching is just in two areas. The very first area is that you need to have an idea, have content. Then before you take the idea, and before you actually pitch, you have to really make sure that that idea is like super, super great. So technically, the ideation part is 70, 80%. While the pitching, the performance is 20%. So to be a disservice to you if I don't talk about how to get that idea you have in your head to paper and to reality. That's really key. And I see many people, they just think that pitching is just take a microphone, wear suit and tie, and just no. You have to know what you're doing before you talk about it. So let's go. Now, let's talk about the content, the structure, and how to organize your ideas. So the first thing I have here is that the quality of any business idea lies in any business pitch lies in the ideas, meaning that if you are to make a presentation in your classes, on your school, you have to read up on something, you have to internalize, you have to have quality to talk. You can't just come from your professors or your lecturers without having something upstairs. So the quality of any business pitch lies in the ideas. And when you have these quality ideas, you are confident enough to talk about it. When you've done your homework, there's that difference in confidence that, okay, home rain come sunshine. If they throw questions at me, I can respond favorably, right? And your pitch should and must have facts and data. You can't just talk based on sentiment and say, I feel, I believe. No. What is that backing? What is that thing that you are hinging solely on that will support the claims you are making for your ideas? And facts, data, figures don't lie. If you've done your research, you would have something to actually talk about. So let's go. Come in, let's go. Now, remember I said that we are talking basically on developing quality ideas for your pitch. So let's look at how to develop these ideas. I don't know why my screen is, sorry. Okay, now, there are two ways to do this. One is that in your community, in your environment, in your daily life, you will discover that there's a problem that you're facing. There's that problem that you're always facing. Morning, afternoon, evening. Now, if you can solve it, because not only you have that same challenge, if you can solve it, that means technically you are solving the problems of 10, thousands, or hundreds, or millions of people. That means invariably the pain problem opportunity can be a good start or headway for you developing quality ideas. Now, like I said, pain problems are challenges that you face daily. For example, I live in Lagos, and I know many of us, maybe some of us on the call, will be familiar with the story of Lagos with traffic. But not only traffic, we have issues with accommodation, security, a whole lot of others. But if you can pick one of them, look inward, solve it, then you can really say you have generated quality ideas from that pain problem or an opportunity you've seen. Now, okay, I just said here that opportunity are liable movement. So sometimes you might walk on the road or just in your quiet time, I just think that, okay, what if we do this and this works? That means I will have solved this problem. So these are like sporadic light movements. Your head like, okay, if I can do this thing in this way, in this manner, I can solve this problem of 10,000 people. That can be a stepping stone or a charted course for bundling quality ideas. Now look at the challenge we have with housing or accommodation in Lagos. Because of this challenge, we have companies, organizations, startups doing amazing work in these spaces. I don't know if we are familiar with Airbnb, but Airbnb is a company that helps us solve the problem of short stay accommodation around the world, not only in Nigeria, around the world. So if you are moving from Lagos to Abuja, two options come to mind when you are looking for accommodation or looking for to stay hotel and a family and friend. Now, not everyone likes hotel. And two, not everyone will have families living that would accommodate you for a certain period of time. So this is where Airbnb comes. Some people have houses that they are not using. Right. They have houses they're not using. Or they have spaces like in their own house, they can have like 3-4 rooms that they're not using. So instead of you having that place dormant, why not put it up for short stays? Amazing homely spaces are now transformed to short stay apartment for people. So you can have a room like this, for example, have a kitchen, have a dining, have a toilet that looks like a normal home or your home, than you going back or going to your hotel, or trying to call 10,000 people to get one of your friends or family to say, I'm going to host you, I'm going to accommodate you for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So that's a problem that Airbnb is solving for many people, but it thrives in Lagos. With respect to Split and Fiverr, they do the same thing as well, but not short stays. Okay, I think short stays, but you can also extend your stay, and it gives you a flexible payment structure. So instead of you paying yearly, you can pay monthly, So look at it. If you're getting an apartment, you might want to pay, and a good apartment for maybe 1 or 2 bedroom that costs 2 million. It's going to be a bit harder to lump sum 2 million to pay at once. So if you have 75K for a month, you can't pay 75K. So month in, month out, you are paying, and that solves a problem of accommodation, flexibility, payment structure, and you are solving the problem for many people who would jump at this solution. So these are places that you can create quality ideas. The very first, identify a pain problem. The second, identify an opportunity. Now, let's go. Remember, you've identified. It's like saying, oh, I can just picture something, but that doesn't mean it's going to work. No, that doesn't mean it's going to work. So what would you do? You need to validate it. So you need to be sure that this thing you are looking at from your own perspective, the same thing that people are looking at from that perspective, it's the same. And would they be willing to pay for it? Would they be willing to work with your idea? Right. So like I said here, at this point in time, everything you have are those assumptions. Maybe it's going to work, maybe it's not going to work. So what would you do? Now is the time to really sit down and have fact figures to back up your claim or assumptions. And the best way I've seen so far to validate your assumptions is what we call the human-centered design approach, called HCD. Sometimes some people call it design thinking, but I believe that human-centered design is a much robust and better approach. And at the end of the day, you see that it's a better approach than design thinking. I'm not saying that design thinking is bad, but there's so much opportunity spaces with respect to doing human-centered design approaches for your idea validations or your pinpoint opportunity validations. So let's go. I don't know why my screen is just, okay, good. So what is HCD? So before I even proceed, let me ask questions. At this point, do you have questions up to this moment? You can unmute, you can drop comments, please feel free. Hello? No questions. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. I think silence says it all. All right, cool. So let's go to HCD. I'm really fascinated by HCD because it's beautiful and amazing. Like when you do this thing, it's that sure banker, let me use that word, or sure guarantee that this idea will work, that it's gonna work. But let me break all this big English here into smaller chunks of steps for you. So HCD is when you are, as an approach to design, I will use the management, trying to manage or trying to troubleshoot something, trying to create something from scratch, trying to solve a problem. Now with HCD, we're developing a solution. You're validating your ideas. And when you're doing it, you're not sitting down on your chair saying, this is the way it's done. With HCD, you're looking at the people that are going to use your solution, that are going to, or people that are affected by the problem, and you're bringing them together and saying, you know what, guys, you have a problem. but I'm not the best person to solve it because I'm not the only one affected. You are the key people in this situation. And we call them our end users. So what do you think we can do to solve the problem? I'll come again. It's not an approach to saying this is the way a problem should be addressed. You can be a designer, you can be an innovator, but you don't own the solution. You don't own the steps to solving that problem. It's the people that are affected. You might be part of them. That's one of you, one out of many. But you give the people opportunity to say, yes, this is the way I think the problem should be solved. And when you do that, at the end of the day, you find that the people that will adopt it are going to be many. So your end users, they're going to be many, right? There are people that are going to be excited that, yeah, this solution is what is coming up to life and direct to jump at it or onboard it. So in a few months of your launch, you would see sign up of your users. You will start making some revenue. And it gives you that sure guarantee at the end of the day that this solution would work. More often than none, it's going to work. Now, I'm not saying it's going to work 100%, but you see traction, maybe some 70, 80, and along the line, you can keep on working on your idea because the idea, the solution you develop is not, it's going to be a continuous process development. You do this stage, develop, this stage, develop like that. Even Facebook, as we know, didn't have that perfect fit solution. They kept on iterating and developing. Up to this last week, they changed something part of in their modules of branding. They changed their parent company. So it's a steady-wise process. You keep on changing. But in all, it's going to work, but not, I won't say 100%. Now, let me just go into details because that's the most fascinating part of HCD. Like I said, it means understanding the problem, solving the problem affected by humans who are your end users by involving them. So most time I see when governments want to solve a problem, they don't consult anybody. They believe that if there's a problem with water in a community, just get borehole. Solar powered borehole, dig the well or dig new wells, and that is not most time that's not the solution. They've not actually gone to computer and say, okay, guys, what's the problem? You're having water before. Why now? Let them tell you, because there are the people that in that community, they have local context, native intelligence. They'll tell you, oh, the issue is because you were probably thinking that, okay, the community should have new boreholes that is solar powered. Meanwhile, the community guys tell that, okay, the issue with the water is because one, it's dry season. Two, the borehole they have is not deep enough. So once you drill further into the ground before you have a gush of water. So instead of you spending 10 million to have solar powered borehole, new one, we would have spent probably near 1 million to just dig up more and have more water, and it's done. Cool. So let's go. I don't know why I keep on having this. Okay. Now these are the stages of HCD. Like I said, I'm going to take us through step-by-step process of pitching. But before we get to pitching, I have to talk about the ideas. So this is HCD step. Please, if you're not paying attention to anything whatsoever, this is the time to pay attention. It's very critical. If you can get this, I can tell you for free that you can take any idea rough from your head from start to finish. Easy. So let's go. The very first stage is discovery. So what does it mean to discover? Discover is, I have an idea. Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? Maybe it makes sense. Okay. So what is the next stage for me? I'm coming. I don't know why my slides just. Okay, good. Yeah. So discover is almost in tandem what I said before, meaning that you just identify. So identify the problem, right? You've seen a problem, an opportunity to identify. The next thing for you is that what are the questions you need to start asking? So I have a typical example here. So if peradventure you have identified stress level in Lagos State as a challenge you want to really solve, start asking the right questions. So why is there a high level of stress in Lagos? Why are these stress levels in Lagos? Why? Why not in Ibadan? Why not in Kano State? Why not in Taraba? Why? You know, the next thing is this. If there are stress levels, right? Where in Lagos, the location, where do you see these stress levels? Where? Where does it start? Where does it end? Who are the direct benefits to this challenge? Who is naturally affected directly? Who are those that are indirectly affected? Who can influence, make or mar these stress levels in Lagos? You know, when you do your research, if you don't ask the most right questions, this level, this stage, you'll mess everything up. Most time I see people asking subjective questions because they have a certain solution in mind. So they want to just tweak people to it. So they're asking, and what if did this? Don't. You see, if you look at these questions, they are open-ended. Ask open-ended questions. Be as objective as possible. No sentiment, no preference. Let the conversation, let the research, let your discover phase lead you. So you're not coming with any bias. Let it directly lead you. Right. The next stage for me, I believe, or for anyone, is that you need to empathize. You need to understand, like, there are problems, but you might not have a full picture, a full diagrammatic representation of that challenge. So what you need to do is you need to feel the causes of these problems. You need to immerse yourself in it. So if we're saying that Lagos is very stressful, according in, I think 2020, statistics show that Lagos is the third most stressful city on earth. Third most stressful. But you are coming from Ibadan and Abuja. Was in traffic, probably the highest traffic you have experienced in 1 hour in Ibadan. Abuja, nah, maybe 20 minutes. So you might not be able to understand the full magnitude of someone saying there is stress. So let me give you an example. Someone in Lagos, to try to immerse yourself in this experience, someone in Lagos would wake up 3 a.m., prepare for work for 4, start leaving for work, house 4:30, trying to beat traffic to work for 8 o'clock. Works from 8:30 till 5, stays in the office because of traffic, but traffic starts from 2 to like 6, 7, 8, 9. So by 5, 6, they see traffic. But like if you stay in your office without moving to like 7, 8, you see on Google Maps that the traffic is now getting less. So you need, you stop your, work ends 5 o'clock, so like 8:39. Then you start going to your house from your office or your workplace by 9. You still beat some 2-hour traffic 11, and you get to your house 11:30. So you have to sleep from 11:30, rest till 3, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. And you're doing this at least 6 times a week. Because some people work 6 times or 5 times at various minimum. So this stress is huge, but you might not be able to comprehend it if you have not really been in Lagos. So most time I tell people, try to find a way to understand the pain point of people. Try to be in that shoes. Most times, healthcare professionals don't understand the pain point of people. A doctor will say, "Oh, madam, sorry, don't worry, just take ibuprofen, just take this, just take that." You've not really understood the problem of the patient. You've not really understood the challenge of a patient. Most times, try to be empathetic, open yourself, your senses. Don't be judgmental. Allow people to tell you what they are experiencing. Feel it, and that will probably inform the way you react to whatever thing. Good. So let's go. After you've immerse yourself in that space. If you are solving a problem of Lagos, the best bet is please be in Lagos, at least for 2-3 weeks, right? Talk to people. You cannot stay in Lagos and say you are experiencing things from your comfort of your room. No, talk to people, interact with the stakeholders. So what are the stakeholders with respect to stress? So let's look at the stress point in Lagos. We have stress points with traffic, commuting, from mainland to the island, island to the mainland. So who are those that control transportation, movement in Lagos? Bus conductors, traffic wardens, last man, police, traffic wardens. These guys are key stakeholders, even with the government, the normal people that are stakeholders. So map those people that you need to speak with. Ask them the right questions. Because I've been there for like 20, 40, 50 years, they have context than you that doesn't. And when you're doing this, document all your insights. So what are you picking? What can you see? Because the mind is very funny. You just think that, oh, I remember. No, you'll forget it. Document it. You can take pictures, recordings, videos, document all these facts. The words they say, just document it. It's very, very important. And this facts, I would come to it at the very end. It's very important. Let's go. I know my slides are always dragging. Okay, good. Now, remember that we did discover phase. We're now in the understand phase. Understand phase means that after you've taken all your data, after you've taken all your insights, you need to gather them, put them together, and make meaning out of it. So what does this data mean? Philomeno. What is he trying to tell me? What are the hidden things that this data, this lump sum of data? So you have pictures of people saying, oh, from that Ojuelegba bridge to this place. What does it mean to you? Can you draw patterns and inferences? Can you map out the full length of the problem and say, yes, we travel to traffic in Lagos after spending 3 months in Lagos? I can categorically say that these are the full map of Lagos. We travel to traffic. So traffic starts at 4 a.m., ends at 9:10 on the mainland. On the island, starts at this, ends at this. These are the hot spot of traffic. Average time of traffic is 6-7 hours, this and that. Once you have those things, right, you can now start developing or refining opportunity spaces for solution. So, peradventure now, you've done all your mapping. And the patterns you are seeing is that, one, the reason why we have stress points in Lagos is that there's overpopulation. Lagos is 22 million. In one small, it's not like, it is the smallest state by landmass because we're covered with water. So there's so much of people in small chunks of land. So everybody just moving against each other. 2, there's congestion rather. 3, we have low landmass, I've said that one. 4, we have multiple mass inflow of people into Lagos daily. Because Lagos is bounded by water, and water enables transportation, import, export. Lagos has the biggest IGR. For add 10 states together, Lagos has IGR more than 10 states in Nigeria, just one state. So because of opportunities, people are seeing jobs, a lot of things. People are moving into Lagos daily from neighboring states or neighboring countries are moving daily into Lagos. Right. So these are patterns I'm seeing from my head if I did my mapping. So I started asking the question. I didn't say, how will I solve the problem of overpopulation? I didn't say that. I said, how might we? The we signifies all of us. Me, myself, the end users, the stakeholders, all of us. How might we? Now, with overpopulation, I did not say that we are going to say, how might we solve the problem of overpopulation? I had to redefine the problem because I know that, because I've done my research, the problem is that people are so much more on the mainland and less on the island. Why? Mainland, cost of living, very cheap. affordable. Island, VI Lekki, VGC, Bedroom Lekki, very expensive. A normal house of 2 bedroom in mainland, maybe like ₦1 million. VGC for 4.5, 5 million. So people would go to a place that's more affordable. So you have like more like an uneven distribution of people across these locations. So how might we create distribution, even distribution between mainland and island? So when you do that, people just drift, and they have what? Less issues with overpopulation. That's one. Now, I have to redefine it because I've done my research. I know the problem. And the problem is that we have overpopulation, but the real context is that 10 people plenty die from mainland. So can we do that balance? The second is, how might we improve traffic flow? So because there are traffic issues, many people are on the mainland, everyone is going to work at the same time because our employers say work starts by 8 o'clock. So I'm leaving mainland to the island because island has more high-paying job opportunities. The island, right? So you have more companies there. So people are just moving like this. Few of companies as well do thrive on the mainland and also Midland. I will call it Yaba, Surulere, and Midland. Like Yaba, primarily Midland, because it's the middle between mainland and island. But then people are just moving constantly daily. So how can we improve traffic flow? The roads that we have are not good. The roads that we have too are under construction. So you have closed Terminal Bridge, you have closed Echo Bridge, and flow is just in one direction. So how can we improve traffic flow? When you can improve it, there will be no congestion. No congestion, sorry. The next thing is, for low land mass, how can we tap into the waterway? Like I said, we have low land mass. We have very little land mass in Lagos, but we have multiple, waterways. So can we use ferry? Can we boat yacht, to take people from point A to point B? Can we encourage that? How can we really, really encourage that? That's very key and important, right? The last one is, how can we monitor the inflow of people? And this is very critical. If without data, you don't have an understanding of people moving from one place to another, you cannot make provisions for social amenities. So there will be so much people battling for the little amenities that we have. And obviously, if you don't have amenities, you cannot cater for the needs of people as per government. So technically in Lagos, we have many people than the available number of housing. So in a house of, let's say, 1 room, you have 4 people staying there, which is not supposed to be so, right? So if you have a monitor that tells you, the number of people that are coming to Lagos are like, we have 5,000 people coming to Lagos daily, you can say, okay, if we have more of 5,000 people, what can we do to combat the overpopulation issues? Can we create more roads? Can we create more housing, affordable housing? Can we can we generate more electricity for them? This would really give you opportunity space for development of solutions. So let's go. At this point, sorry, before I even proceed, let me hear your thoughts. Questions? It looks like I'm just the one talking. I'm also trying so hard to run because this slide is packed and we spent more time in the initial presentation by Morenike. Any questions, guys?
Okay, if you're following, I think that this is a good time to also show that you're following. So you could type in the comment section if you're following, or if anything jumps at you, whatever line or area that he has touched that you think, okay, resonates with you. Now is also a good time to just type in the comment section, whatever that thing is. Oh, I see Kenny has network challenge. He will join us. Soon. So while we wait for Kenny, you can. It will be great to see if you understand all he has been sharing with you so far. It will be great to see if you are beginning to understand how you can move from the idea stage to the execution point, how you can test run your idea and assess whatever. So yeah, Caleb, following, no questions for now. Great.
Sorry, I went off a bit. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'll just proceed. No questions following. Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, good. I'm just so much better. Okay, good. So yeah. So now this is a critical stage. No, I've forgotten this one. Okay, so this is a critical stage that involves you taking all the learnings you've gotten from doing your research, your discovery, you understand, this is very critical. It involves you in taking all these learnings, all the facts, data, insights, and having that conversation with your end users in a round table and saying, guys, this is a problem I see that you guys have faced. Based on my research, these are our findings. Do you accept it? Do you see from my own point of view that these are challenges we face? Now, the reason why I'm doing this is you want to get a concordance, you want to get an agreement with them and say, okay, they agree that yes, these are the challenges they're facing. They agree. Once you have that agreement, it is fantastic. You can now, it's like I'm looking for a better approach now. Something I can relate. Just like they're telling someone that you like them and they say yes, they like you back. Like you can sync. So that's what this process is. You taking all what you've researched on the facts and data present to them, and them agreeing that yes, this is a problem that they face. Now, once you have that agreement, right? All you need to do is throw to them the how might we. So let's go back. Sorry. Let's go back. Now, this how might we is, you throw it to them and say, so guys, stakeholders, so what do you think we can do? How can we distribute people from both mainland and island? Let them start talking. It's not your opportunity. It's not an opportunity for you to start talking, open your mouth. You used to listen. Because once you start giving them your high-falutin ideas, they will shut up. They will keep quiet. Right. So for you right now, all you need to do is show this how my twist to them and let them start what? Let them start talking. I don't know why this is my laptop. Okay, good. Now, allow them to have the floor, let them talk, document everything that they're saying. So have like a take notes of what they're saying. Oh, we need to have this, or we need to do this. In fact, let them give you the most amazing ideas and the most, not amazing, I won't use the word foolish, but because you're a designer or you are someone that wants to develop a solution, you know that there are things that can work in some context, right? But don't say, it will not work. No, let them give you those ideas, everything, bundle them together, write them down, right? Now, with this development of solutions, right, you would give them opportunity to have ownership at the end of the day. Meaning that when you are done with your solution development, they'll see that it's our own. Now we develop them. So if, for example, let me look at a solution that is very popular. How many of us knows budgets? Let me see if, you can just type in the chat, budgets, B-U-D-G-I-T, budgets. That's true. No one knows budget. Okay, you do. Oh, I know that. That way, don't worry. That one, you're not included here. Okay, so budget is a startup, or it's a solution that helps with governance. So budget takes the not natural, but the government's budget across the states and federal and local level. You know, when government is saying, oh, we're making fiscal budget, we're making this budget for 2020, those budgets, they will take all the budgets with all the big English, all the numbers flowing here and there. They take it, crunch it, and give you a simple infographic that will just tell you what all the big 40 pages of government document is, to crunch together and give you some beautiful infographics. Now, before budgets could have arrived at that solution, they had to speak to people. People, naturally, let me even ask here, how many of us has sat down at once to check the budget of Nigeria, maybe your state, or the healthcare budget, and say, okay, you know what? This is where the money comes from. It's coming from external donors. It's coming from this. I don't think we have so many people that will do that, because it's highfalutin. Government understands the language they speak, but we as the common people don't understand. So for budget, you have to sit down and say, guys, what's the problem with governance? How to monitor expenditure? If this money is coming from here, when it comes from here, what do you know about capital projects, recurring projects? We don't know anything. And as such, if you can't know all these things, you cannot have accountability and transparency. You can't even monitor what government is doing. If you don't know where the money is coming from, because money is super needed for anything that has to do with development in any sector, money is needed, right? So if you don't know the budget allocation per year, you can't do anything. You can't even say, okay, government is working, government is not working, or shallow, do you have money? So that is something that is very, very critical. You have to sit down and say, guys, what is the problem? People said, oh, we don't understand the budget. We cannot even help with governance and accountability because we don't understand it. And said, okay, you know what if we make sure that the budget, the money our government has appropriated for XYZ stuff, that you know it, right? So if peradventure, the healthcare or the education sector of Nigeria should have, should be 30% of the total budget. 10% of the total budget. When they do the infographic and crunch it, you will see that, okay, possibly for your state, the norm is that you should have 30% for your educational sector. But having 25%, that means there's a deficit of 5%. Right. So you can question and say, you know what if you do A, B, C to make sure that you actually have something to support or augment the remaining budget? So these are things that you need to do. You need to have conversations with your stakeholders, people that are affected, and they will give you that amazing idea at the end of the day. So let's go. Like I said, having that conversation with them would give them perfect ownership. So every time, if I'm thinking of budgetary things with my work, because I work also on budgets for healthcare, I just go to budgets because it just makes my work easy. I've taken ownership of it, right? I find it very appealing to use. Cool. If I don't like it, I won't go to it. So I'm a particular subset of the stakeholders who said yes. To be honest, if they gave me the 40-page budget of Nigeria, I won't understand it. I won't sit down to understand it. But with infographic of 2 pages, 2 sheets, I understand everything. Right. Now, the last thing here is this. If you are trying to develop a solution, right, you need to at least develop a little entity that showcases the solution. You can't say I have a solution in my head. Show and tell. Show. How would you show it? You have to develop what we call a minimum viable product. Now, this MVP, sometimes people think that it must be very big stuff. For example, if you want to develop a car, you think you have to develop a car to show that it's an MVP. No, sometimes you just need to just do the drawing of the car and say, okay, this is where the chairs will be. This is where the headlamp will be. Or this is what this would be. It's as simple as that. You are showing and you are telling. You might not have the money to develop a minimum, like a normal MVP, but just that diagram is enough. That gives a pictorial representation of what you have as an idea or solution, right? Now, if you have the funds, you can now dive in and say, okay, since I'm thinking of creating a phone or an iPhone, I can create a smaller iPhone to just show if you have the money. But most are more phone than none. If you are going to the startup area, you don't have the full money at the initial stage, right? So, and to be honest, instead of you putting all your money in MVP, just do something that is representative, but will not cost you so much because you still need more money for that things. Good. So let's go. Let's go. I don't know my laptop. Okay, I'm just this. Okay, now, so you've done your what? You've done your discovery, you've identified, you've understood, you've done your insight, your data, you can make meaning out of it. You've jumped into co-creation, meaning bring everyone together and say, how can we solve this problem? Now it's time to test. Sorry, there should be testing. There should be testing. Okay, that's fine. Now it's time to test. So you've gone from the aspect of, oh, this is an idea. You've gone to make sure that you have something working, like a working prototype or an MVP to show. The next step for you is to take that MVP and test it and say, okay, does it actually work? Does it fit into the context of your end users? Are they buying that solution? Do you like it? What is the feedback? That's how we have what we call beta testing stage when you're doing your development of solutions or your apps and all of those things. They'll tell you it's not a full solution, but we're just testing it. So they want you to test it, want you to give feedback. So on Google Play Store, they'll tell you, please rate us. Oh,
Hello, Kenny. We can't hear you if you're speaking. Hello, Kenny. Oh, apologies. I see that Kenny has a network challenge on his end. He will rejoin the session soon. I hope we've been learning a lot anyway from the session so far. You've now I hope you understand what an MVP entails, what the ideation process requires, and how you can begin to fine-tune your ideas for the market, how you can begin to implementation. Yes. Okay. Kolade. Okay. Is it just me or yes, it's from his end. He will rejoin the session soon. Apologies. So who would like to say one or two things, one new thing they have learned today in this session? Anyone? One new thing they have learned today in this session. Who would like to share that? One new thing you have learned today in this session. Anyone? I know that the idea of design thinking, human-centered design is quite new to some of you. So in the last few minutes, where Kenny has been sharing his thoughts with us on what ideation entails and implementation of ideas, what they all entail. What exactly have you learned? Anyone? One new thing you have learned today? Who would like to bail the cat? Anyone? I need just one person. Anyone who is going to bail the cat? We need to move on. Sean, please pick up. Go on.
Okay. Simply, I just learned that for your innovation, actually, it's not just what you just want to create, but we creating something that will cause a real change. That is something that these people that we want to, that will be using them, will be able to adopt, yes, and accept. And at the end, the change that we really want is really actualized. That's one of the main things I really learned by employing that HCD, that's woman centered design here. So that means that make sure that these ideas are something that they would really adopt and accept. Yeah.
Great one. Thank you, Sean. Welcome back, Kenny.
Thank you. Sorry, my internet has been bad. So sorry. Okay, so let's proceed from here, right? Like I said, you've developed a prototype called an MVP, minimum viable product. Now is the time to test. When you test it, you get feedback. The feedback can be good or cannot be good. Now, if it's not good, room for improvement, it means that people are actually genuinely using your products or your solutions, and by eventually it's not really tackling the problem, or there's few glitches here and there. So now it's an opportunity for you to sit back and say, okay, there's a problem here. How can we make it much better? Right. So that's all about testing. When you test, it gives you the opportunity to say, yes, we've done our job, or we've not yet hit the nail on the head, or the hammer on the head, rather. So document all your facts, iterate, tweak, and tweak, and tweak. So I have an example here, right? 2018, 2019, we had OP. From OP came to Lagos Primary and some other places. Now, they had a product or a solution called ORide, where because of transportation issues, traffic in Lagos, you can just basically use OP because traffic no dey hold bike or Okada, so it's faster. From mainland to the island, you can easily get any place in like 30 minutes or 40 minutes instead of spending 4 hours in traffic. And because people that would want that opportunity or that solution are people that they have this low cost of living expenses, so they want something very affordable. So OP started and said, you know what, let's try to check your riding experience. They started on the first month with 100 Naira and said, okay, how many people would sign up? If I use OP for my trip from Ikeja to VI for the first month, I'll tell my friends that, this is good though. So instead of me paying about 4,000, I will just pay 100 Naira. So what of math? And my friend download the app, sign up and use. So it's out with 100 Naira. And they tested that, okay, how many people sign up? They saw the large sign up. Now, so let's try with 20 Naira. Tried, and decided doing discounted rates. So instead of doing flat fees, because they had flat fees when it started, they will do discounted rates for the third month. So 100 Naira for the first, 200 Naira for the second. Then the third month was discounted rates. They noticed that, okay, still when they give discounted rates, not flat fees right now, discounted rates. So instead of paying 1K for a bike, you pay like 450 or 500. And this people were still onboarding using their solutions, because back end you know who is interacting with your app or a solution, right? And the system now say, okay, let's try this method again. Pay as you go or pay as you use. And the system people were still onboarding that experience, because I can easily get any place faster in minutes with OP. And I would glad to pay 500 Naira, 1,000 Naira than spending countless number of hours in traffic. So these are processes of iteration. You're testing, got feedback, test, and you just hit that and say that, okay, yes, this will work. This is the best. Now, if you are testing, make sure that you are not testing to the extent that you are iterating and it's going to hit you behind. make sure that whatever thing you're doing, you're testing, you're making profit. If for profit or a share enterprise, make sure that at the end of the day, you are not going to loss. Please don't say you want to be the nice guy or nice lady in your solution. Make sure that they are getting value, you're also making profit. You are all on the same level. So let's just go. Sorry. Now, like I've just said this, when you have done your iterations, right? You've gotten that best approach. Go to full implementation. Deploy and say, yes, we're ready to launch the market. This is what we call launch. At this point, right? If you look at the process from start to finish, you've done your data, you have data, you've done your research information, you have facts, you have your MVP to pitch. Now, if you're going to pitch, see this thing here, this second point, this is what you're pitching. It tells your investor or the person listening to your pitch that you have done your homework. The person that is listening to you probably has some $5 million to give. He did his work to get that $5 million. It's not free. So you have to show that, yes, you are serious. You have validated, you have tested, you are ready to deploy, you know. Now, sometimes you might not have reached the stage of full implementation. You might still be testing, but you have some traction. You are testing, you are getting feedback. And you're ready to launch it, you're still testing. And that is still something that you can take to the market and say, okay, let me just approach one or two guys, investors who have some little money can try and give to us. So we can take that money and really develop a good solution for full implementation. But I'll always advise, please, before you take any money from an investor, make sure that you have done your homework. Because investors will shakra to you. They will do it. They feel like you're just testing, they have solution. I mean, they have what it doesn't work. But when you have something that works, you have signups, you have end users, you can say, bro, sis, we're looking for money, but then sure guarantee this is working. Show us proof. Show them your proof. So far, in the last 6 months of our testing, we've had 10,000 sign up. Oh, 10,000 people love your product in 6 months. So it's 10,000 with less money, with bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is you don't have money, you're just trying to use the limited resources you have. With this bootstrapping, you cannot get 10,000. So if I give 5 million, man, you can take up Nigeria in maybe 1, 2 years or 3 years max. So it gives them that pictorial overview that yes, you are serious, yes, it will work, and they can put their money inside that solution. Right. So let's go. This is not the pitching stage. Like I said, pitching is the art of presentation. It's a performance. Take a mic, talk, present in 5 minutes, in 2 minutes, in 1 minute, 30 seconds. Convince your audience. It's very persuasive. That tells that beyond all reasonable doubt, this problem, we have a solution. We can take your money, put the money in the business or in the startup, generate traction, be in market, and give a return on investment. Yes. So let's go to types of pitches. So the pretty ones that we all know is, well, what we hear is the elevator pitch. And the scenario is you're in an elevator, you're going from the 4th floor, probably the 10th floor, and you meet like a Dangote. Who doesn't know you? Never heard about you? But you know him because he's a bigger guy, right? And you have that amazing idea, like, yeah, you just have that 30 seconds to just kill it. You need to approach him. So what did you do? I mean, what would you do? The first is, I don't know how, I mean, the different type of approach, but the core thing about pitching with elevator pitches is that you tackle 4 things. He wants to know the problem. Now, the problem is this sometimes is passionate about solving. Then go to the passionate what we call FMCGs, fast moving goods and services. Passionate about sugar, cement, flour, rice, oil. So is it passionate about whatever I'm talking, the problem, is it something that is passionate about solving? The solution, does it tie into what you might be interested in? And talk about how the solution works and the model. Right. What is the impact? Everything you are doing, what is the result at the end of the day? Obviously, there has to be a result. So if I'm solving malaria, if I say, well, I have a capsule that anyone takes, you would know malaria. That means the prevalence of malaria that is endemic in Sub-Saharan Africa will reduce, right? So that's the result. That's the global relevance or African relevance. Now the fourth one, which many people miss, is a call to action. What is the call to action? What are you asking for? What do you need? Do you need partnership? Do you need money? Do you want to be on your board? What is that thing you're asking for? People say, I have a problem. Talk about a problem in one line. Solution, another line. Impact, another line. And sir, we currently need $10 million to push solutions from this state to this state. We seek this funding, we want to give 30% equity. Okay, that is ideal. I mean, this is just like, for example, don't give 30%. Want to give you X amount of something we are coming for as equity, you know? So if he has the call to action, if he's interested, yeah. If he's not interested, he might just not on board with you guys. Now, before you get to the stage of perfection in a elevator pitch, you must have done practice. It takes a lot to speak about these 4 key areas in 30 seconds. It takes a lot. So don't think that you will just arrive at it. You have to practice, perform, you have to practice. Yeah, let's go. Now, we have timed pitches. We have elevator pitch and time pitches. So for example, yes, you probably hear some pitches like Jack Ma's, I've forgotten the name. There's this pitch and this stuff he does. I've forgotten the name actually, where you have to pitch and they'll time you and say, okay, you have 10 minutes to convince the judge or convince your audience that 10 minutes. So there are time pitches. The first one is 60 seconds pitch. 60 seconds pitch, please just state your problem and solution. Now, the beauty about it is, if you have 6 seconds to pitch, our time pitch, that means it's in a controlled environment. It's in a controlled environment. Not that I meet someone for the first time. It's a controlled environment. State your problem and solution and drop it. If you have opportunity, state the results or the outlook. So when you solve the problem through your solution, what would it mean? If you have time. Now, if you drop your problem and solution, it gives them room to ask you more questions because obviously they want to ask you questions. Yeah, right? So if you have 2 to 5 minutes pitch, please don't talk from your head. Try to use a set of slides. Amazing slides. This is not the best of slides. I have to put it like rush for this. Please use set of slides. Problem. 1 slide. Talk about your problem. Research the problem. With all your fact and data, you have a fact. Don't do research. You have the fact and data. Everything to just cook up an amazing slide on problem statement. Move solution, the model. How do you make money? Business. How do you make money? What is the impact of your business? And you have 2 to 5 minutes. Don't rush it. Don't try to churn up so many big bulk of information to them. Take it step. Make sure there's a flow. Some people say, slide 1. Give them the storyline. Let them be mesmerized. Storyline that they can really relate and understand. Just flow through, connect with the slides together. Now, for the 10 minutes, these guys, some people will give 10 minutes and above. you have the opportunity to use, like, it's a must. If you don't use a crime, you can't just come and wear a tie, shoot and tie and sit and start talking for 10 minutes. No, show and tell. It's a performance. So you set of slides, problem statement, clearly stated, solution, business model, the impact, your financials, how are you making money? What is the flow of money into the business? When would you break even? At what month? SWOT and SWOP. SWOT is strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, strength, weakness, opportunity, and partnership. These days, we don't need to start saying, I'm the one of no. Can you partner with somebody? Someone is selling agege bread. Someone is selling beans. Obviously, if I'm coming to a setting that has two places, most times, more often than not, people will just have money for one. So they're buying bread or buying beans. But can you collaborate and say, rice, beans, venture? So instead of them splitting, having one money for one, just say rice and beans combo, 14 naira. This one gets 20. Down. Being in competition, because it's really stressful to be in competition, very, very stressful, right? Then finally, again, not like semi-finally, not finally, start up company and profile. Let them understand the profile of a company. What are you doing? Who are those that make the company, the co-founder, the founder, the team? What are their strengths, area of expertise? So if I'm a judge for a pitch, and I see this thing, it means that I can tell that this company will grow because they have the required skill set for them to take the solution from A to Z. So if you are developing a solution, that's fintech, right? You should have someone that's finance, accounting, that will develop the platform, an operations person, a CEO, a marketing, a sales. So my sales is like, I feel like these guys have what it takes to grow and thrive. And the final bit again is to provide a demo. You show them what you have done over the years or months. Show them. So you can tell them, yes, so I have a demo for presentation. This is how it works. You go here, you go here, you solve a problem here. Yes. Show and tell the present, a performance, perform. Show them that this is something that we have been working on this for a long time. And to be honest, if you have an MVP or a demo, sometimes, we call this MVP. Yeah. If you can show and demo that MVP for the judges, fantastic. Most times you get a good kudos from judges for that. And the final bit for me is, this is it really, tips on how to do that performance. Understand your audience. You cannot come into a room with elderly people of 60, 70 years and talk in a certain manner, because cultural and native intelligence will tell you that, you know what, these guys are not in tune with the younger generation. So that things need to structure that will drive in your point to an audience of elderly people, right? So understand your audience, know where they're working and what tickles their fancy. So you can't be talking about government when you're dealing with tech people, right? Come to their level, talk in their language that they understand. Tell your story, because everyone is tired of listening to pitches. But when you tell a unique story that's unique to you, it just grabs them. They just become more in tune to what you have to say. Leave a remarkable impression. Always start strong, end strong. You have to practice it. It's very important. Come with your quotes. With your dressing, you can make an impression. Yeah, but always leave an impression. But they remember, okay, that guy, oh, that lady, like I've said this one, start and end sleep. Practice, practice, practice. You can't just go without practicing. Practice that you have a microphone. Practice that the microphone is not going to work. Practice that you forget your slide. Practice that if eventually you have been given 10 minutes based on official rules, the third that you have to pitch for 5 minutes. Because there's a time I was going for a pitch and I was told I was to speak for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. When I got there, I was told I was speak for 30 seconds, 1 minute. So I had to just get my slide, cut the unnecessary thing, and deliver. And obviously, I know that I'll create a room for questions. So I have more time to deal with questions. So prepare for the eventualities. Dress to overkill. Don't short dress. If they say, oh, it's a formal dress, oh, do like Mark Zuckerberg. Well, no, please. Yes, they said it, but dress your part. Look sharp, prim, and proper. Be articulated and be very smart about answering your questions. In the world of consultant advisory, which I am, there are ways you can talk that you sound smart, even though you do not answer that question. It's a skill you have to learn. Someone asks you one question, but just like your politicians talk, right? You ask you a question, and expect an answer, but you direct that focus in another area again and leave them. It is when you now have left the stage, you remember, this guy didn't answer my question. Very smart. And it just saves you time or room for guess or challenges that, oh, this guy is not ready or is tell us a lie. It just gives you that opportunity to run away. And the final bit again is be persuasive. Don't come and say, hi, I need this. No. Be very persuasive. And you can persuasive verbal cues and non-verbal cues. Your pitch, your voice speaks well for you. If you can articulate your voice, that will be very good. She's pretty coach, so she can really give you more tips in that area, but be very positive in your approach towards speaking. I think this is the last bit for me. Thank you so much for asking questions. I'll be willing to take your questions. Over to you, Tayo. Hi, Tayo. I think she's off. Okay, guys, do we have questions? I know some of us might have. I hope that we do. Moxina, Adini, Caleb, Kola, Deusman, Teresa. Questions. I'm super open to answering all your questions, please. We can unmute or we can drop in the chat if possible. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so Dami says, what is the difference between MVP and prototype? I would say that they're the same and they're different, right? So let me explain. MVP is minimum viable product, meaning that you have an idea about your solution and that solution has not been fully formed. Now, whatever thing you can develop to showcase the potential of that solution is called an MVP. So for example, if I want to develop a car, I can have an MVP that is just a drawing about the car, showing the interior, the exterior, the angles, the front elevation, the back, sides, rear, everything. That can be an MVP. It's the minimum, it's the barest I can just provide that would show what I have as a solution for that challenge or problem, right? Now a prototype can also be an MVP or can be a step ahead, meaning that you've taken the liberty to really develop that MVP or that drawing into a car that can move. So instead of you having a drawing, you have the body that is metallic, or the body can be plastic, or the body can be wooden, whatsoever. But you've taken it and you develop it, so it's physical. You can feel, touch. The senses can appeal to it. You can see it physically, you can touch it, right? So you can feel it. Yeah. So I'm coming. Taiwo says I should. Okay. All right, good. Now, so prototype, like I said, is that you've taken the liberty to translate everything that is in that drawing of paper to a physical thing, whereby your sensory nerves or your senses can feel it. Now, the question I have is, how would you advise us to leverage on enactors to develop fantastic. Thank you so much, Denny. So apparently, while I was in school, I was an enactors really strengthened my pitching. Now, in enactors, we have to develop projects from scratch. So we would think about a problem and would try to validate that problem, create a solution, like mock-up project management. And as students, we don't have money. So we're bootstrapping, we're asking our alumni for money, A, B, C, D. And that really shaping my approach. Now, with enactors, we have, for every year, an annual pitching competition called an Enactors National Competition, where all schools, right, all schools that have enactors as an organization on campus would come and pitch and talk about the projects that they have already worked on, or from the previous year to that moment. And we had to pitch without looking at our slides for 17 to 20 minutes. Yeah, so you have to just stand in front of judges that are panel with 40, 30 years of experience cut across the sectors I can imagine: oil and gas, hospitality, fintech, financials. So you are coming there to tell them raw truth. You can't lie. They will smell it from a mile away. So really, to be honest, and actually really shaping my approach towards pitching and being able to research my problem, validate it, and at the end of the day, have a solution to present. And also in actors as well, you can't come with ideas, you have to come with a solution and you have to test it. So you have to probably do a video of the solution and then see it on a big screen, or bring it there, share it among the judges for them to see and feel and thought and criticize. So yes. So leveraging an actor is very key. Please, if you have any opportunity, join them like yesterday. Join them, be actively involved. Enactors is responsible for the work I do here with my previous company, the company I work for right now. Enactors really puts me out there. I mean, when I was joining, coming from a core healthcare space, which is I was working in a hospital as a medical laboratory scientist, but I could switch to tech because I had an experience of project management from enactors. So I could just switch to tech. I was now doing project tech, but I put my focus on healthcare, right? Now, where I'm currently working, I'm working on projects. So I understand projects without even having any certification. I don't have any PMP card. It doesn't really matter. I can show you that I've done ABC with the knowledge I gained on campus. So please invest so much of your time in these places. Not enactors. ISEC is an amazing place as well, but for the purpose of this conversation, enactors is really good for that. Okay, so many questions. I'm coming. I see you, Teresa. Okay, no questions. I broke it down with. Thank you so much. For Caleb, how does scalability plan what does scalability plan for a business idea mean? Yes, so scalability plan is a plan that you put on paper that shows how you will scale. So let me explain this. Meaning that, so every solution cannot be 100% when you start. So for example, I use Facebook. When Facebook started, they didn't have Facebook business, right? They didn't have Facebook, all those adverts they can do on Facebook. They didn't have all those features. They just had the raw idea of connecting people together. You know, so in scalability or scalability plan means you look at the solution and think, so where do you want to be in 10, 20 years from now? What is our vision? Where do you want to be? We want to be the best social media platform in the world that connects people together, that enable businesses. Now, what is the plan to scale? What do you need to have? Where do you need to be? What are the traction, the milestones that we need to get before we can say, yes, we are ready to jump the next step? So scalability plan is that plan that you've made that itemizes the stepwise process of starting from a particular point and accelerating to the next point, that puts in consideration the milestones, the traction that must be developed, the people that must be involved, all the requirement that should be in place before you can now move, so that it will not crumble. You know, when you're developing a building, you start a foundation, pillars, before you start developing 5, 10 stories. Do you get? So that scalability plan means what the things that you should have accomplished before you can move to the next level. Yeah, thank you so much. Kolade, your question is that what advice would you have for a startup that really relies on the social media image? Because, okay, can you please clarify? If you can unmute, that would be great. So business model incorporated into, I don't understand this. Could you unmute and speak about this? I need more clarity on this. Thank you. Okay, Caleb, I think I've answered your question. Okay. So if you can kindly unmute so that I can hear you, because I don't understand. I have some follow-up questions for you. So that's why I want you to speak. Please feel free. I don't buy it actually. Yeah, thank you. Any more questions again? Any more questions? Okay, Tayo, I think I'll hand over back to you. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much, Kenny. It has been a truly intensive session. When I saw how you started, I was like, oh my God, do these students understand everything Kenny is teaching? Thank you so much for taking the time to give them a true step-by-step guide on how they can pitch their ideas. I'm not sure if you've answered Kolade's question on social media image and so on. Have you answered that yet?
No, I haven't. So he said he had an issue with this. So I tried to give him an opportunity to speak on his question because I didn't get that. But let me try again because he said that he has a challenge with his audio. So my question is, what advice would you have for a startup that really needs to rely on social media image? Because this is part of its anatomy as a startup. Okay, they are social media inclined and they are not near the funding stage, but they have identified a problem somewhat. Going forward, is this approach in a sense smart? Oh God, what alternative? Okay, so I need to understand the idea so I can provide a solution, to be honest. It's like saying, oh, you have stomach ache, but you cannot really give more detail about it to your doctor. So, I mean, but maybe I will drop my contact here, buzz me, and let's talk further if that works for you. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Adeni says, can we get presentations? You guys, presentation slides. Okay, that's fine. I'll hand it over.
Kenny, you're muted. Kenny, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Oh, how long have I been speaking? My goodness, I'm sorry.
You're muted for say a second or two. So you mentioned the part of the presentation slides.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So I can give my slides to everyone that needs it. So you can just reach out to Taiwo. Taiwo will help you with the slides. Guys, if you have any questions, now the time to get it out so that I can tackle it, please. But if none, I think my job is done.
All right, Kenny, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you broke down this concept of ideation and human-centered design and preferring solutions to problems around them. So for you as a student, so I just want you to share, as a student who was heavily involved in hackathons and so on, what would you say, what memorable experience would you say, what memorable thing did you say you learned that shaped your thinking about the world of business and ideation and preferring solutions to the world's problems? One, and two, what major challenge did you experience, especially as a student, in your quest to prefer solutions to problems around you? So 2 questions. Did you get the questions? Hello, Kenny. Did you get the questions?
Oh, sorry. Wait. Oh, I didn't get. I thought you were talking to them. Sorry, I didn't get that. Sorry.
I was asking you
Okay.
to show us one major thing that you learned that shaped your understanding of the world of business, design thinking, human-centered design, especially as a student, that shaped your thinking about funding for businesses and all of those things. One key thing that you learned that shaped your thoughts. And two, one major challenge you experienced as a student in your quest to prefer solutions to problems around you.
Okay, so I'll start with the first. One key thing I learned is, one key thing I learned is no one cares about your solution until you've really worked on it. No one really cares. No one cares about ideas, to be honest, because ideas are so open and anyone can have a whole idea, have the idea. But once you've worked on it and you can show, like that's why I really emphasize it, you can really show that, yes, this thing, we've worked on it. It's like saying you have a tuber of yam, and saying, yes, I have this tuber of yam. It can make pounded yam. No, until you've taken out time to slice it, boil it, and pound. That's what people will now say, yes, I think I can buy this for 1,000 naira per piece or per morsel, or how, I don't know how to call it. But yeah, one key thing that's shaping my one key learning I can pick from my time with Enactors is that I was able to see that ideas are just open. They're not a major thing to rely on. You need to do the work. You need to really collaborate with people. I need to network. That is, I forgot to talk about that. You need to really network, because when you can network, you will develop what we call social capital. So if you don't have money, right? You don't have money. Because your friend is good in coding, you can have that friend on your team. That's your friend. His coding skills can be $50K per year. We are getting for free because he's your friend. Your friend that's a good graphic designer that is using a good laptop to do graphics, that you want that guy to be on your team for your social and everything. That person should be probably charging you $40K per design. But it's because it's your friend, it's on your team for free. You're not paying him. So with networking, you can connect with people, right? With networking, you can really get things done for almost for free. I think the last speaker talked about it. Your network is super important. Cool. Sorry, could you chime in on the second question again, Tayo?
Okay, my second question was, what's the major challenge you experienced as an undergraduate who was so passionate in your quest to prefer solutions to problems around you? What's major challenge?
So two things. The first challenge was time. So being medical school, coming to UI to join actors, time. You have classes, you have lab postings. It was time. So being able to balance is something that you have to develop as a skill. So you know the priorities, reduce the unnecessary things, have a major focus. So let me just give you a background of myself. I didn't like school, to be honest. I didn't like school at all. And but you know, when you have parents that say, must come with a good grade, more UI, you have to do clinical. And they have, you know, taken that thing on their head and told everybody that child is in UI. So pressure. And I don't like pressure. So the other way to distress is I do school a bit and I do extracurricular a bit. Right. So I didn't like school so much. The only opportunity for me to do is to do an actors or do other things. So I was able to diversify my energy in various places. So I removed sport. I didn't do sports. I did business. Yes, I did business in school, 3 level. I had like 3 field businesses. I did fashion, it failed. I did food, it failed a bit, but became good. But that's it really. The next thing again is funding. So when you have an amazing idea, to be honest, in spite of the fact that it's an idea, you need funding to push things up. So money for data, you know, money for research, you need funding. So funding, critical for me that I had challenge with, also in actors as well. So when you're placed in a committee or in a project team, and you say you want to develop a solution that has to give students electricity by just walking. So there's something we developed while I was in school called piezoelectricity. We call it spikenard, where you wear it as a shoe and you're walking or jogging around UI, and instead of charges, and you can use it as a power bank. So, but then to get the materials to develop it, we need money. Per piezo plate was like 80K thereabout. So imagine one footwear having that 80K for it. And we wanted to give that to all students to test. So, I mean, funding is a major key thing to have that area sorted out. So funding was a critical thing, as well as time management. So if you can settle this, settle your time management, fine, that's good. For funding, just lower your costs of production or development, lower your costs. Just do what you can do on the barest minimum, get traction, then you cannot say, okay, for our scale up, we hope to do ABCD. And with doing ABCD, we need $50K or £50K for scale up. So yeah, pretty much. Awesome.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kenny. I really can't that the time management. There's a lot. Schoolwork is a lot already. And then
Well, the funny thing is, after school, the time you had in school, you would see that you have a luxury of time when you're in school. So
I know, right?
Yeah, make use of your time in school. Like you have so much time in school. When you come out, that time is so limited. You think of yourself, your career, your profession, if you are doing business, your personal life, a lot. And 24 hours is not enough, but please make good use of your time.
I know, right? Thank you so much. Right now, my life is full of to-do lists up and down, and there is no time. So please maximize your time. While in school, you see Kenny speaking from a point of knowledge. Kenny started as a small boy, small boy like you are, Adeni, right? Small boy that you are, Caleb. So maximize the time that you've got in school. Like he said, he invested his time in, he dissipated his energy in productive ventures like Enactus, sharpening his intellect, sharpening his soft skills like communication skills, being able to pitch. I mean, as a university student, Kenny was pitching before high-class individuals, industry leaders, right? So why won't he be working with Clinton Health Access Initiative, earning millions of naira already? All right, so Kenny, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. And Kenny mentioned social capital. Do you think Kenny ought to bill us for this session? But he's doing it for free. And we see that it's truly a masterclass. This is not even a webinar. This is a masterclass because it took you through the basics of pitching ideas and even went into funding as well, so that you begin to understand the nitty-gritties that you need when you want to scale your idea. So I beseech you to take all of these things to heart, take all of these things, put them in mind, and begin to practice. Start from where you are. There is that student organization in your university that you can join. Enactus is there, ISEC is there, JCI is there. You never can tell what's the returns that you will gain from all of these things when you begin to invest yourself in these things. Someone was just jokingly telling me today, so all those things that Taiwo used to do in school, see how she's utilizing all of those things now that she's out of school. That's what it is. It's not magic. You want to be a person of capacity at the end of school. This is where it starts. And I applaud you for staying till this time. How many of you are here? 10 of you are currently here. You've all done so well. You've all done so well. Give yourself applause. I see Deborah. Deborah was the first person to join this session. And she has been here for over 3 hours. Deborah, you deserve something from me because you've stayed through thick and thin, right? Well done, well done. Thank you so much, everyone. If we do not have any other questions, I think this is a good time to draw the curtains. Thank you so much, guys. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend. And thank you so much, Kenny. God bless you. Do take care.